Are you saying I'm
or
dumb because I'm not white? That's
intentionally
racist.
denying reality just so you don't have to critique Trump. The gig is up, brother. The gig is up. We got you to admit that the only reason Donald Trump said he was born in Africa is because he's a black man. It is racist, and you've already accepted this too. It is racist to deny somebody a job opportunity because of their race. It is racist for the only reason why Donald Trump's saying that he's born in Africa is because he's black. You know this. Everyone knows this. No,
However,
stop. Everyone knows this. Even the racists know this. Okay? Like all the groypers that are like super racist. Is if I was having this conversation with a groyper right now, they'd say, yeah, Dean, it was racist. But, you know, I'm racist. I don't care. Racism is awesome. Right? That's what the racists would say. But you are just denying what you know to be true so you don't have to critique Trump. And I don't know why you're doing that. Like, I almost feel, all right, as if all of the people over on YouTube saying that this guy is really dumb, you know, this guy is not that smart, there's no way that he's, you know, stupid enough to not understand what you're saying. I think that all of you guys are wrong. For everyone that is saying that this guest is so stupid, he can't understand what you're saying, I think that you're wrong. I think that he knows what I'm saying. I think he understands what I'm saying. I think that secretly he agrees with what I'm saying. But he's denying that admission because he doesn't want to have to critique Trump.
no, you're just really good at purporting my words, is what it is. So I'll tell you what. Him saying that Obama was born in Africa because he was black is not the same thing as denying a job opportunity solely because he's black. He is saying that.
If I said that Obama,
Exactly what it is.
if I said that Obama was violent because he's black, is that racist?
Yeah.
If I said that Obama was a liar because he's black, is that racist?
Yeah.
If I said that Obama would be a bad leader because he's black, is that racist?
Yes.
If I said that Obama would be a bad father because he's black, is that racist?
What are you getting at? Yes.
So if I were to make any prescriptive statement about anything to do with Obama because of his race, that's racist. So then why isn't it racist when Donald Trump makes a prescriptive statement that he wasn't born in America, he's lying about his fake birth certificate, and he's born in Africa because he's black?
This is not how it works. Simply,
You just accepted in a billion other examples. That is exactly how it works. That is exactly how we can identify some variants of racism.
He's not saying that Obama shouldn't be president because he's black. He's saying that Obama shouldn't be president because he was born in Africa.
And he was born in Africa because he's black, right? Just kicking the can down the road one more step.
Where else would he, like, it's either America
Like, dude,
or
at this point, there's no way that you don't see what you're saying.
Right. You know, even if we just go back to my examples of like, oh, Obama's a bad father because he's black. Oh, well, what if they're not saying that Obama's a bad father because he's black? What if they're saying that Obama's a bad father because he has a short temper, and he has a short temper because he's black?
No, but what if we just took out the race card and realized that, okay, this person's just a bad father. He's black, white, Chinese, Indian, whatever. Just a bad father.
Well, then we would be able to argue that they're a bad because data point number one, they got their kids taken away from them when they were young because they domestically abused their wife. Data point number two, regardless of their race, ethnicity, nationality, is a bad father. So, in other words, in order for it to not be racist when Donald Trump says that Obama was born in Africa, you'd have to be able to demonstrate sufficient compelling evidence outside of the fact that he's a black man in order for that claim to be true. So what is the sufficiently compelling evidence that Obama was born in Africa outside of the fact that he's black in order to demonstrate that that point is true, the same way that we'd be able to demonstrate that anybody's a bad father, regardless of their race, to be true, relying on data points like malnutrition of children, truancy in school, domestic violence against wife, so on and so forth.
I already told you that Donald Trump was lying when he said that.
Okay, so if I were to lie and say that Obama's a bad father, and then say, oh, the only reason is because he's black, would that make me racist?
No, it would just make you incorrect and irrational.
Oh, okay. So all of the people all throughout American history that lied
Absolutely.
and said that
I
black
did
people were
call
violent,
Trump
knowing
dumb
that
about
black
this.
people weren't violent, to get them segregated from American towns and then pushed off to the hills far and away, sundown towns. Okay, they weren't actually racist because they knew what they were saying was false. If Hitler knew, okay, that the Aryan race, quote unquote, wasn't biologically supreme to everybody else, and he lied about that in order to attempt to justify his genocide of 12 million people, then Hitler wasn't racist because he knew it was false, even though he used that to further his agenda. See, the thing is that there's a lot of really racist people that know what they say are what they say is wrong. What they're saying is a lie, but they say it anyways to get more people on board with their movement.
And you don't think that the Liberal Party will say lies about Trump to get him out of presidency?
Oh, so now you want to pivot because now you know that you're caught. You're cooked, you're done, you're over.
Every single person in politics lies about the other party in order to get them out.
Yeah,
Every
but seemingly
single-
this is an example of Donald Trump lying about the other party by taking advantage of the fact that they're black to get them out, which would amount to racism.
You're playing the race card, but it's just all. It comes down to
Wait. Here's a great example. If Donald Trump were to argue that Kamala Harris shouldn't be president because she's emotional and she could never lead because she's a woman, would that be sexist? Even if he knew that that was false and women could lead. Even if he knew that, if he even said that you shouldn't vote for Kamala Harris because she's an emotional woman and emotional women can never lead, would that be sexist?
Is she emotional?
The only reason why he's saying that is because she's a woman. No other reason. There's no other data points or evidence to indicate that she's acutely irrational or emotional. And he's saying that she's irrational and emotional merely because she's a woman. And that's why people shouldn't vote for her, even though he knows that it's a lie. Would that be sexist?
If that was the case, then yes.
Okay, so
But
now
that's
you
not
accept
why.
that Donald Trump was engaging in racism directed towards Obama because we could actually accept that Donald Trump knew it was a lie. We could accept that Donald Trump knew Obama was born here, merely, but it still stands. The only reason why he did lie about this was because he's black, it would still amount to racism. The same way, even if Donald Trump knew that Kamala Harris wasn't irrational, wasn't emotional, but still said that she was an irrational, emotional person that couldn't lead merely because she's a woman, that'd be sexist.
What if she actually was emotional and it wasn't because she was a woman?
Okay, well, in the same way, Donald Trump accused Obama of being born in Africa when in all reality he wasn't born in Africa. This is like saying, what if Obama was actually born in Africa and there's good evidence for that? But you agreed that there's not. Therefore, you just accepted that the only way Donald Trump's statement could have not been racist was if Obama was actually born in Africa and there was good evidence for that. Which there's not, and you've already conceded. Therefore, in accordance with your view, you now have to admit that Donald Trump is engaging in racism.
You're playing the race card in a scenario.
No, stop.
No.
You just argued that the only way Donald Trump wouldn't have been engaging in sexism directed to Kamala Harris is if she was actually irrational and she was actually emotional, and there was demonstrable evidence for that claim, right? Right?
One more time.
You just argued that the only way if Donald Trump said that Kamala Harris was irrational, emotional, would it have not have been sexist is if there was actually evidence that she was actually irrational, emotional, right?
Yes.
Okay, so therefore the only way that Donald Trump's statement that Obama was born in Africa could not have been racist if there was actually evidence that he was actually born in Africa, right?
It wasn't racist. It was just false.
Wait, you right? No, yes or no?
No, it was.
Okay, wait, so why in one circumstance, why does your standard change? You're saying the only way it wouldn't be sexist for Donald Trump to say Kamala Harris was not irrational emotional is if it was actually true that she was irrational emotional. So therefore, why don't you hold that same standard as it would relate to Obama being born in Africa? Why don't you say the only way it wouldn't have been racist for Donald Trump to posit that Obama was born in Africa was if it was actually true that Obama was born in Africa? You are
it's not
clearly
about
contradicting your
citizenship,
own
it's
standard of
about
evidence
citizenship.
that you uphold in the context of sexism that you are not upholding in the context of racism. Why is your standard changing from sexism to racism?
It's not changing. Can I explain? 30
Yes.
seconds.
Please explain.
Okay. All right. The reason why it's different is because it's not under the premise that he is black. It's under the premise that he is not a citizen, is not able to. It's a dumb thing he did.
No, this is like saying this isn't under the premise that Kamala Harris is a woman. It's under the premise that she's irrational and emotional, and the only reason why he's saying that is because she's a woman. But you've already accepted that even if
Donald
it's under
Trump-
the premise that Kamala Harris is irrational and emotional, and the only reason why he's saying that is because she's a woman, you agreed it's sexist. So even with this explanation that it's not under the premise that he's black, but it's rather under the premise that he was born in Africa, well, because you already accepted the only reason why he said that is because Obama's black, it would therefore have to amount to racism, given given that you uphold the same standard for sexism, that you do racism.
So if he's racist, then why does he have so much black people vote for him?
No, by the way, he doesn't. Only 15% of black people voted for him, and 83% of black people think that he's racist.
But black people work for him still.
Okay, so black people working for a white man does not mean that that white man isn't racist. In fact, that's what we saw during slavery. Black people doing work for white men. Now back to the question that you are now pivoting away from. Concede that Donald Trump is racist in the same way that you're arguing that if he were to say that Kamala Harris was emotional or rational merely because she's a woman, he would be sexist. I've defeated any possible counter argument that you have here. Make the concession or give the difference.
The difference is that a random black man working for the president of America is not slavery.
No. You're pivoting. You're dodging. You're actually dodging, bros. This is embarrassing for you. You said that Donald Trump would be sexist if he posited that Kamala Harris was rational and emotional and can't lead merely because she's a woman. So why isn't he racist for positing that Obama was born in Africa merely because he's black? What's the difference?
If he were to make it so that he couldn't accept his citizenship, what else would he have said?
You're not answering my question. Answer my question right now. What is the difference between Donald Trump being sexist by saying Kamala Harris is emotional and rational merely because she's a woman, and Donald Trump being racist by saying Obama was born in Africa merely because he's black? What is the difference?
All right, I'm gonna respond clearly. I just want you to ask the question for me one more time.
Yeah, for sure. Here for the billionth time. What is the difference between Donald Trump being sexist if he were to accuse Kamala Harris of being irrational, emotional, and unable to lead merely because she's a woman, and Donald Trump being racist by positing that Obama isn't able to lead because he was born in Africa merely because he's black? What's the difference?
The difference is that the reason why he doesn't want Obama to be president is not because he's black, but because he's incompetent in other areas. But he said it was because that was a way that he could get him, in the fact that he wasn't a citizenship.
Okay, so would he still be engaging in sexism directed towards Kamala Harris if he told everybody that they shouldn't vote for Kamala Harris because she's a woman and women are super emotional and irrational, therefore she's super emotional and irrational, even if he knew that she wasn't emotional and irrational and just wanted to be able to beat her in the election?
Well, Kamala is irrational, and
just answer my question. Just answer my question. Given that she wasn't, like, given that you didn't think that she was, answer my question, please.
If it would be sexist if she was competent somehow.
Yeah, so she's competent, but he's saying that she's incompetent and super irrational and can't lead merely because she's a woman. But he knows that she actually is competent and can lead, and that she's not incompetent because she's a woman. He just doesn't want her to win the race. Would it still be sexist?
Yeah, that is sexist.
Okay, so you just agreed that even though, according to you, he knew that Obama wasn't born in Africa, and he was only saying that in an attempt to get people not to vote for Obama, it's still racist.
Not because he's black, but because he's not a citizenship. There's a difference.
Wait, not because Kamala Harris is a woman, but because she's irrational, right? But then we'd say that he's positing that she is irrational because she's a woman, making it sexist, the same way that he's positing that Obama was born in Africa because he's black, making it racist.
But that would also under the premise that she actually is irrational.
Okay, no, we're operating under the premise here that she's actually not irrational, the same way we're operating under the premise that Obama's actually not born in Africa, making them both one sexist and the other racist.
And you can't just
what's the difference?
Be an irrational.
Wait, what's the difference? What's the difference? What's the difference between it being sexist directed towards Kamala Harris and it being racist directed towards Obama? What's the difference?
The difference is that he intended it as a false statement to try to get people to not vote for him.
Wait, so if Donald Trump intended it to be a false statement directed towards Kamala Harris by saying that she's super irrational and emotional because she's a woman to get people not to vote for her, would it still be sexist?
No.
What? Wait, so now you could say that you shouldn't vote for this woman because she's a woman and women are super irrational and emotional and they can't fucking lead for jack shit, and that's not sexist.
And you think that people...
Wait, I just want you to affirm it's not sexist for Donald Trump to say that nobody should vote for Kamala Harris because she's a woman and women are super irrational, emotional, incompetent fools that can't lead. That's not sexist?
That is sexist.
Okay, even if he knows that it's false, right? Yes or no? Even if he knows that it's false. Yes or no? Is it still sexist? Even if he knows that it's false.
If he knows that it's false...
Is it still sexist, yes or no?
Because she's a woman...
If it's still sexist, yes or no?
But yes.
Okay. So then your argument as it relates to Obama fails. Your argument as it relates to Obama absolutely fails, because your argument is that it's not racist because he knew that it was false, but it is still racist even though he knew it was false. For the same reason, it would still be sexist for him to say that Kamala Harris can't lead because she's irrational because she's a woman, even if he knew that was false. Right. Do you concede?
No. Let me respond. The reason why it's different is because it's not under the premise that he's a bad president because he's black. It's because he would be a bad president because he wasn't born. He's not a citizenship.
Wait, but we've already went through this meta justification. This is like saying it's not sexist to say that Kamala Harris can't lead because she's incompetent because she's a woman. Because you're not saying that she can't lead because she's a woman. You're saying that she can't lead because she's incompetent. The reason that it'd still be sexist is because we're arguing here that she'd be incompetent because she's a woman. The same way Donald Trump argued that he was born in Africa because he was black.
Yeah, but not being applicable is different from not being good.
What?
Not being capable is different from not being applicable.
What does that mean?
You're simply not able to run for the president. Like it's even if
but it still amounts to a push towards people to not vote for them in the election. It's the same thing.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, so then once again, do you see how your argument fails here? You're saying it wasn't racist when he said this about Obama because he wasn't saying that he can't run for president because he's black. He's saying that he can't run for president because he wasn't born here. But then the reason why he's saying he wasn't born here is because he's black. So therefore, under your view, it wouldn't be sexist for Donald Trump to say that Kamala Harris shouldn't be president because she's incompetent because she's a woman, because still yet the first line of justification is not the fact that she's a woman, but rather the fact that she's incompetent. The same way the first line of justification is not the fact that Obama is black, but rather because Obama wasn't born here.
Okay, you're actually talking a little bit too fast here.
Okay, I'm just going to kick you because I legitimately think that you're just straight up a dumbass. Like, low-key, don't know how you brush your teeth in the morning. You know, I'm just going to kick you. Move on. Let's go to get that next guest loaded up into the box, y'all. Only up inside of that queue of your MAGA, please and thank you. Jeez. Oh, my goodness. Wow, dude. These Trump supporters are droids, dude. Holy droid. Hi, Taylor. Do you support Trump?
Yeah, sorry, I disconnected earlier because I'm homesick from work and maintenance came. But I just wanted to ask you, you told me how can I support Trump when he's the most anti-Christian person, and I just want to ask.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a, do you mind if I just take a moment to thank a couple people?
I just want to ask you, what is it that you say makes Trump anti-Christian?
Yeah, we'll go through that all. First and foremost, was that last guest kicking me or cooking me?
I literally just came back in the live. I haven't been on it. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What is it with Trump supporters like literally having like negative IQs?
Sorry,
yeah,
what?
Dude, I just want to take a second to reflect on that. Thank a couple people, then we'll hop into the debate. But like, I want to make sure that I'm not going insane here. Can we like all agree that that guy had like a negative IQ? Like everyone that was listening to that last debate, like even the people on the right. I just need that affirmation so I know that I'm not going crazy here. Yes, like actually like negative IQ. Perfect. Love. I need that affirmation, you know, because think about it from my perspective. I am just in a conversation with this person, okay? I am only talking to this person. The only other person in the room is this crazy person, all right? So it's not like I have anybody else to affirm that, like, I'm not going crazy and that this guy's just, like, super dumb. Okay, good. I love to just see all of the yeses in the chat. That makes me feel a lot better because it kind of does. It kind of can drive me a little bit crazy sometimes to be trying to convince a rock of reality, okay? And then it comes to this point where it's like, maybe I'm in the wrong here, and there is some good reason why this point isn't being understood. But there was no good reason why that point wasn't being understood, and that guy was just absurdly dense, right? Like, that guy would argue that the sky's not blue. That guy would argue that I don't have 5 fingers on my hand. Oh boy. All right, I'm going to thank a couple people. First and foremost, DK, thank you so much for the 20 over on Super Chat. Thank you so much for that love, DK. Let's get 200 DKWs down below in that comment section. DK with the 20 says that logic is like a doctor seeing a non-European name and saying they'll need a translator, refusing care, then claiming it isn't racist because he knew they spoke English. Knowing the truth doesn't excuse a biased claim. You are absolutely right, DK. That is actually a really good example. Then Kel, thank you for the $10 who says, I love watching Dean cook. At least somebody got enjoyment out of the last conversation because it certainly wasn't me. Thank you for the 10. Maria, thank you so much for the $11 over on PayPal. Maria with the 11 says, I've been watching you and Parker every night for the last couple of weeks. I think that what you're doing is amazing, especially now when there's so much instability and propaganda in the world. Congrats on your patience. Greetings from Greece. Well, shout out to Greece. Thank you for the $11. And thank you so much for tuning in. You are awesome. As well as Deja, thank you for another $5. Isaiah with the $10 who says, holy shit, these guys are giving me a migraine. Trump is not going to let y'all hit. Stop glazing him. So real, bro. And then Serena, thank you so much for the $1. Good to see you. Shout out to you. Over on Vimeo quickly. Ray, thank you for the $5. Carrie, thank you so much for the $50 over on Venmo. Let's get 500 Carrie W's in that chat. Thank you so much for that love. Thank you so much for that support. You are Bubba based. Holy shit. Huge shout out to Carrie. Carrie with the 50 just dropped a little salute emoji. Thank you so much for the support. Shauna, thank you for the 5. And then Oscar, thank you for the $11 and the 11 cents. Who says, hi. Hi, Oscar. I hope that you're having a good day today. And then Jaden, thank you for the $10. And congratulations on changing your MAGA family members' minds. If you're watching and you want to support, you can find both of those two things, the Venmo and the PayPal. I'm just going to say a couple filler words so TikTok doesn't take me down here, but you know what I'm referring to. And the link to in the bio. I appreciate you guys so much for all the love. You could attach a message and I'll do my best to read it off. Now, Taylor, you're curious why he's anti-American?
No, anti-Christian.
Sorry, anti-Christian, sure. Because he does the opposite of what the Bible tells us to do.
Okay, give me examples.
Leviticus 19:33-34 says to treat all the foreigners that reside among you in your land equally and fairly to the same way you treat your natural U.S.-born citizens. Donald Trump says if you're a foreigner that resides among us in our land, I'm going to treat you unfairly by labeling you the vermin of the earth. I'm going to treat you unfairly by labeling you as a mental asylum escapee, prison escaping, and then I'm going to treat you very evilly and unfairly and unequally to citizens by taking your constitutional rights and protections away to then deport you to be tortured in another country. That's one example. I have about 1 billion, so if we want to go point by point, we can.
Sure, I'll just start with the first one. So while Jesus does agree to treat everybody fairly, Jesus also talks about in Matthew when he's talking about paying taxes that what's Caesar's is what's Caesar's. And Jesus loves everybody, but Jesus also doesn't believe in...
You left the app.
Oh, no, sorry, that was my battery. Jesus is against illegal immigration because Jesus is about following the law. Jesus was a law-abiding person. He always preached about following the law. And when you enter this country illegally, you are committing a crime. So I'm just throwing that out there. So I know that's a lot of people's argument.
So would Jesus follow the law during American slavery with the fugitive escapee slave clause of the Constitution that mandated people, if they were to come across an escaped enslaved individual, to deport, to send them back to their
slavery.
enslaver?
I'm coming in here to talk about how I don't agree that you can say Trump is anti-Christian.
Wait, I'm just asking you, would Jesus follow the fugitive slave clause, yes or no?
No, he wouldn't. So
even though it was a law? So you're arguing here that Jesus would not follow law that contradicts, like, good moral values, right? So therefore, Jesus wouldn't follow the law of mass deportation because it contradicts the good moral values as described by Leviticus 19, verses 33 or 34.
Okay, first of all, also, when people like to quote the Old Testament, you also have to keep in mind...
Jesus would have told the Nazis where the Jewish people were.
Yep.
Okay, hold on. You guys, your guys' favorite thing is to just talk super fast and throw all your facts at people without giving them a chance to talk. Because let's be honest, you know more than everybody here. You're more well-versed on this. I'm not honestly trying to get into the super political part of it, but what I'm trying to say is from a Christian standpoint, it even says in the Bible, you as a person, Dean, you are human. You are not in a position to sit there and judge other people about whether or not they're Christian. The authority of who is not acting in a Christian way, that's up to God and God only. And people love to come at Christians and be like, well, you can't be Christian if you support this. You can't be Christian if you support that. And it's like, I just don't agree with that. And honestly, Trump appointing 3 Supreme Court justices that overturned Roe v. Wade is the biggest example of how he's pro-Christian, because the murdering of 73 million babies per year is murder. That's exactly what it is.
73 million.
73 million babies are aborted globally per year.
Oh, globally. Okay.
Yes.
Base?
Globally, not in America. Globally. And
okay,
one of
anyways,
and people who support Trump, and by the way, I don't...
So my girlfriend has gotten 36 abortions in the last 2 months, and she's a good Christian. Do you agree?
You're telling me your girlfriend has had 36 abortions?
Yeah, and she's a good Christian, right?
I don't think you're stating a fact. I think you're trying to make an example here. I highly doubt that your girlfriend said 36 abortions. You can't be pregnant 36 times in the last 3 months.
Okay, yeah.
I saw you clip someone with that recently.
Listen. I'm clearly being outrageous.
No.
Okay, but like women that praise Satan, love to get abortions,
hypotheticals,
change their gender every day.
Confuse people. And all I'm saying is, at the end of the day, no human on this earth is in the authority to judge anybody else about Christianity. That is up to God and God only. And that's all I'm here to say. I don't know enough on politics to sit here and debate them. So
don't worry. We won't debate politics. We'll just debate everything that you've said so far.
I'm just saying.
So I just want to respond real quick. So if you don't think that anybody is in a position to judge, then why do you think that the legislators are in a position to judge and condemn women that want to access abortion by revoking said access from them? That is the biggest issue with the argument that you're making, that it's not up to us, it's all up to God. But then you turn around and you argue that it is up to us and we can make that judgment, legally speaking.
Murder. Abortion is murder, and that's just a fact.
Wait, would God ever endorse murder, ever?
What?
Would God ever endorse abortion in any scenario, in any context whatsoever?
No.
Okay, so then what the hell is Leviticus 5:11 through 31?
Please read it to me. I don't know every Bible verse off the top of my head like you apparently do.
Yeah, it's God blessing priests to give abortions to women who cheat on their husbands, then get pregnant.
I don't know what Bible you're reading, but that is definitely not the case. And God is not for abortion in any scenario. It is the
So then go open up your Bible and read it to us.
Okay, hold on. I got to go grab my NIV. And also, by the way, I can guarantee you that, okay, you probably don't identify as a Christian, so everything that you're going to argue me on...
No, I'm a good Christian.
Are
you judging me? Are you telling me that I'm not a good Christian right now? Didn't you just say like 10 minutes ago you can't do that?
You don't practice Christianity, yes?
I do. Test me. I do practice Christianity. Test me.
Practice Christianity.
Yeah, ask me anything. Ask me anything. I can prove it. Ask me anything.
In the Bible, you're going to honestly tell me in the Bible that God is okay with abortion?
Yeah, God is sometimes okay with abortion. That is absolutely true.
I'm sorry that you have been completely misguided, but that is not true.
Okay. All right. Well, first and foremost, you're condemning my...
I'm sure that you read scripture and interpret it whatever way.
Well, I just want your interpretation of it.
All you are is you run your mouth.
Well, you're really judging me pretty hard, bro.
Yeah, you know what I am, but guess what? I'm not Jesus.
Anti-Christian.
Actually, only Jesus
I'm a sinner. I'm not perfect.
Taylor, only Jesus
I'm
can
not
judge
perfect.
Dean. Only Jesus can judge Dean.
That is true, and I'm a sinner, and I will repent for it like I continue.
Okay, then do it right now. Then do it right now. Then repent right now.
I don't have to repent in front of you. I repent in front of my Lord, not a human
I know. Repent in front of your Lord right now.
And that's something I do in private, like my prayer.
Okay.
See, the problem with you is that you have a bully mentality and you talk as fast as you can and you have facts sitting in front of you on your screen and you just sit there and you talk over people and you ramble as fast as you can just to confuse people. I don't respect the fact that you do that. I don't think that you're here for honest conversation. I think you're here to prove people wrong and gain followers. That's honestly what I think. And I think that people love to use Christianity as an argument for politics. Oh, Trump's not a Christian, this, that. You are in no authority to judge anybody on their religion. That's for God only. And I know you think you're a God, but you're not. You're a pathetic human.
Okay, thank you. So I think that we actually do have limited authority to make judgment calls on if individuals are abiding with the moral virtues as described by the Christian Bible or not. Like I get like the theme here of saying that like ultimately like God is a judge who determines who's going to heaven, who's going to hell, and to that I agree. That is theologically accurate in consideration of Christianity. But what is not theologically accurate is you're basically telling us that the Bible means nothing. Okay, the moral virtues as described by the Bible are meaningless. And people could just go run wild, do whatever the hell they want to do, murder, kill, lie, cheat, adulter, so on and so forth. And then we have no authority / ability whatsoever to call them out on it. Okay? When the Bible is clear, okay, and by the way, I didn't kick her. She left because she's scared. She was actually too scared. Oh, actually, she was actually too scared to preach the word of God. Because what did I ask her to do that she refused to do and instead left on? I asked her to read the Bible. I asked her to open up to Numbers 5 and read 11 through 35. And she refused. She didn't want to share the word of my God publicly to all of you. She's a fake, bad Christian, a performative Christian who uses it as a tool to signal ultimate divine forgiveness over all of her transgressions, so she never has to take accountability for any of her missteps ever at any point in her life, and then to turn around and weaponize it against the oppressed, against the marginalized, and against the immigrants in this country that have been sentenced to illegal deportation to be tortured in another country after being detained because they're black or brown, all in an attempt to forego any accountability for the man that did that because he claims that he's Christian. And by the way, for like the 2.5 people in the comment section spamming W guess, please come up here and continue her argument. None of you will, bro. None of you will. There's not a single person who will legitimately come up here and continue her argument because that's how shitty it was. You know, like have fun continuing to advocate for your 3 brain cell IDIOTs that join this live stream. Say words and then run away when they're proven wrong. Okay, like I definitely see where your priorities lie.
You caused a car accident today. Do you know that?
What's that?
You caused a car accident today. Do you know that?
Oh, it's Fish Girl?
You caused a car accident. Do you know that?
What is your profile picture?
It's you punching an old lady in the face because that's the kind of person you are.
Bro, you need to leave me alone.
You know you caused a car accident, right?
I don't think I did. You need to leave me alone.
I hit a parked car while I was listening to your live stream.
Seems like that's your fault.
Parker, why are you doing that? That's not funny.
I'm laughing at you. You hit a parked car while watching his live stream. That's your fault.
Yeah, that sounds like it. That really sounds like your fault, man. I'm not gonna lie. Dude, she needs to stop, man. She needs to stop, bro. She needs to stop. Let's go to get that next Trump supporter loaded up into the queue. Only opposite side of the queue if you happen to be MAGA, please and thank you. I wish that Tiffany would come back, but we know she won't. How do you support Trump?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Sorry.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay, what year are you born in?
99.
All right, I'm going to thank a couple people, then we'll pass that mic. First and foremost, thank you so much for the 20 euros over on YouTube Super Chat from Devil's Daughter. Thank you so much for that, love, daughter. Thank you so much. Daughter with the 20 euros says, her first statement was a lie. He intentionally broke traditional rabbinic rules and legalistic interpretations regarding the Sabbath by prioritizing human need and love over strict man-made traditions. No, you're actually right, because you had your religious law where Jesus presided, and he broke that religious law 110%. Really good point. Then Fussy, thank you so much for the $15 over on Venmo. Let's get 150 Fussy W's down below in that comment section. He says, Dina had an argument with an ignorant MAGA that thinks America is a Christian nation, and he only deals with fact. But when I brought up the fact that even Thomas Jefferson and John Adams states is not, he denies it and pivots from it despite it being factual. Yeah, you'll see that a lot. You'll see that a lot, Fussy. Thank you for the $15. Thomas, thank you so much for the $15 as well over on Venmo. Says, Jesus did not follow the law. He was literally killed because he didn't. Appreciate you so much for the $15. I mean, I slightly disagree there. You know, like the attempted legal argument to crucify Jesus is because he was claiming to be a king, and that was illegal because it was seditious in accordance with claiming kingship over the Caesar. But in all reality, claimed to be a king of men, not in the sense of the state, but rather in the sense of being their heavenly creator. So I think I would defer to the argument about him breaking the religious law instead of like the Romanian law. But also, None, thank you so much for the $5 over on PayPal. And then Serena, thank you so much for the $20 on PayPal. Let's get 200 Serena W's down below in that comment section. Serena says, here's my daily support. Serena, I hope that you're having a great day today. Show some love to Serena down below, and I really, really appreciate you. If you're watching and you want to support, you can find the Venmo and PayPal link tree in the bio. Appreciate you guys so much for all the love. Also, the handle's right there. One more here from Jeannie over on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much for the $20, who says love to Dean and Parker, love to Santana too. Thank you so much for the support, Jeannie. I hope that you're enjoying today's stream. Show some love to Jeannie down below. And with that, go ahead and take it away, 335.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going all right.
Okay, I'll just make sure you can hear me. Can I ask you, do you support Trump?
Fuck no.
You don't support Trump?
Absolutely.
May I
He's
ask
the worst
why?
president of your life.
Okay, may I ask why?
Well, because he's the worst president of your life.
But why is that your opinion?
Because of his character, domestic policy, and foreign policy.
Okay. So what about what's going on? Do you agree with what he's doing in Iran? I'm assuming you don't.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so the reason why I came up here, because I just got from doing a debate with another TikToker. And I wanted to ask you, because I don't think he really thought about, like, do you believe that you are allowed to support somebody, but you don't have to support everything they do?
Yeah, you don't have to support everything that one does in order to support them as president. However, if the cons outweigh the pros, or one of the cons would constitute like a red line, like you can't support them in consideration of the single fact, then you should stop supporting the person. Like, in short, it depends. Okay, so, because my whole thing, because you're probably going to say the same thing he says, because he's like, so you're no longer a Trump supporter. And I'm like, I mean, from the way you're explaining it, yes. And from the way you just explained it, I guess. Because I don't agree with what he's doing in Iran, because it was just, I don't think he knows what he was doing. There's a reason why 30 presidents passed on attacking this man. And I think he just got us drugged into something worse than Vietnam, to be honest with you. I didn't want to come up here and botch your panel or anything like that. I just wanted to give my opinion on how I feel about Trump. Okay, but I mean, do you support him as president?
Man, that is a really hard. There's some things he's doing. There's a lot of things he's doing.
Do the pros outweigh the cons, or do the cons outweigh the pros?
No, the cons outweigh the pros.
Yeah, man. Then I don't think it should be hard at all. You are not a Trump supporter. There you go. Perfect. You're telling me that this is exactly what somebody else on their live stream told you. I'll tell you the same thing. Let's go to get that next Trump supporter loaded up into the box. Here we go. We got Kevin loading in. We got Ice Hensley loading in. All right. Give him a moment to join your folks. Only up inside of that queue of your MAGA, please, and thank you. Oh, Parker can't hear you. You are muted.
Oh, I meant to say the flag's
Hello?
been today as yesterday.
Nope, not a single one. Knock on
Good.
wood. Yeah, welcome in. Do you support Trump?
Yes.
Oh, it's you. You,
you know me, huh?
Yeah, you are, you're a racist. That's what you are.
You tell all these nice folks why you've been ducking me.
I haven't been ducking you.
I'm just fucking with you.
You think that I've been ducking you because I haven't been talking to you, but then you consider that you're just maybe not worth my time.
That's all my personal opinion. You're like the cowardly lion.
Cowardly lion that has ate your ass every wow. The cowardly lion that has beat your ass in every single debate in which
No way, man.
I'm moving on, bro. Just restart. Let's just move on to the next guest. Let's just completely restart the dialogue. We got Truth Teller loading up into the box. All right, guys. Only hop inside of that queue if you happen to be MAGA, please, and thank you. Wow. Hi, do you support Trump? Wow.
Yeah, I do. How's it going, Dean?
All right,
How's it
yeah.
going,
Why is
Parker?
that? Why is that? Why are you MAGA? Go ahead.
Is Mega God? Did
What's that?
you say is MAGA God?
No, I asked if you support Trump as president.
Oh, I thought you'd asked if he was a god. No, he's not a god.
Why do you support Trump? Dude. Oh, bro.
Let's see, because putting America first, not immigrants first, unlike the last president, which completely destroyed our country. So that's one thing.
Okay, so you're saying that Biden was destroying the country and Trump is saving the country, but we had better macroeconomic
Essentially,
trends
yeah,
during the last
Biden's part of
years
the
of
cabal.
Biden-Harris administration.
Part of the Epstein
and,
group.
And failing macroeconomic trends during the first 2 years of the Trump administration.
Yeah, Biden's part of the same group that wants to sacrifice children to Nimrod and eat them. So, all according to the Epstein files.
I actually got to kick you for saying that, or else I'll get a misinformation flag. But just to keep it short, you're crazy. Sorry, I'm gonna get a misinformation flag. So I
there's
gotta
no
kick you.
evidence Biden was a part of that, but you have better reason to say Trump was.
Yeah, like, I would love to debate like the Q folk out there, right? For sure, like that'd be funny because I'd just destroy him. But like I can't because TikTok punishes. Oh my god, it took forever to kick them. Because TikTok punishes misinformation. Like that specific kind of misinformation. If you make that claim about any president, like your account just gets taken down pretty much, so. Someone in the comment said, someone in the comment section.
Dean.
Oh, go ahead.
I said it was proof of the deep state that like people get banned.
So real.
Say that, right?
So real. Hi, do you support Trump? They are pissing. Can you guys please not piss on live? Can you do that somewhere else? Oh my god. We got the next guest, Joy. Let him up. Next guest. Sorry, I'm just still thinking about something.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say I am a huge fan of both of you.
Thank you. Shout out to you, dude. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for the support, bro. All right, now we are just looking to talk to Trump supporters, but I appreciate you so much for joining. Welcome in. Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
How old are you?
26.
And why do you support the worst president of your 26 years of life?
Because I couldn't imagine somebody like Kamala Harris being our president.
Why is
And I
that?
actually have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you have any evidence or anything
Ooh.
that would show that she would be a good president and that that wouldn't be
Yeah, that's an easy one.
anything other
That's
than
a-
a clown show?
That's a softball, bro. That's a complete softball. Sure, I guess before I do. Yeah, I just got the flag for misinformation from that truth teller guy. But anyways, so your claim is that Trump good because Kamala Harris bad?
Sure.
Okay. Well, A, even if Kamala Harris bad, that doesn't mean Trump good. They could just both be bad, so that's a false dichotomy. B, I don't understand why we'd say that the adjudicated rapist would make a better leader than the attorney made DA, made AG, made senator, made VP. And E,
Okay. Well, I'm asking you. Why do you think Kamala Harris would have did any better?
yeah, okay. I think I just kind of
Based
struggle with the
off of her,
question because it's
based
about a
off
year and a half
her
old.
record,
But
pretty
to
much.
answer it,
Based
sure,
off her
yeah, it's
record.
because she ran on tax cuts for the middle class. She wanted to actually give back to the average American, back to the working class, back to the low class. Meanwhile, Donald Trump wants to defund the average American, defund the working class, defund the low class, just to give more back to the top 1%. The CBPP tells us that the average American making at or under $51,000 per year will
Yo,
have
yo,
less
yo, hold on.
purchasing power.
Hold on. Can you slow down? Slow down a bit. Honestly.
Kamala Harris wanted to give more back to the average American. Donald Trump wants to take more away from the average American. Kamala Harris wanted no new wars. Donald Trump wants a new war in Iran. Kamala Harris honored and respected our allies. Donald Trump wants to invade them and steal their land. Kamala Harris wanted to engage in good global positioning through foreign affairs. Donald Trump wants to destroy us on the global stage by imposing tariffs on every other country in the world with no good reason. Kamala Harris respects the rule of law. Donald Trump doesn't. He's positioned himself above the Constitution. He wants to be a dictator. Not to mention that her character is significantly better. She's not an adjudicated rapist, unlike him. She isn't boasted about sexually exploiting naked women and girls, unlike him. She wasn't best friends with Epstein and then had her name illegally redacted a million times in the files, unlike him. She doesn't have 40-plus accusations, unlike him. She didn't hit and sexualize on a 10-year-old girl in the 90s, unlike him. She didn't hit on her own daughter, unlike him, and about a billion other things.
All right. So you said a lot. You said a whole lot. A lot of that was false. Okay.
Yeah, feel free to prove it false.
All right. Shoot. A lot of that, what you said, you just said a whole lot of things. Let's focus on one. Because a lot of that was false, what you just said.
Then feel free to prove it false.
Okay, you said he's an adjudicated rapist. All right.
Yep.
Has he been found guilty?
Yep.
Held liable in a
Of
civil
rape?
court amongst a jury of his peers.
He's been found guilty of rape.
In a civil court, yeah.
Okay. That means liable.
Yeah, that's
He's been
what I
found
said.
liable. There's a difference,
I know.
right? So there's a difference for a reason, right?
But it's liable just means guilty for a civil court.
Right. Okay. But okay. So what's the distinction? Why wasn't he found guilty?
Yeah, because it was past the statute of limitations, which means after a certain amount of years,
Okay,
regardless
that's
of the
why.
amount of. What's up?
It was because it was past the statute of limitations. You don't
Do you know
think it
what
was
that is?
nothing to do with the burden of proof?
No, it was the statute of limitations, which means regardless of the amount of evidence, after a certain amount of years, that they couldn't try the case in a criminal case.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a limitation on that. That shouldn't exist. Now, for the civil case, can you name one piece of evidence in the civil case that you dispute?
I haven't even been presented with any evidence. The only evidence I've been presented with was statements.
But you haven't looked into the case, is what I'm hearing.
It's just statements.
By the
So
way,
you
I just want
haven't
to
looked into the case.
I want to clarify here, and then I'll pass the mic back
Which
to you, Parker.
case?
In 12 minutes, I'm going to be hopping on Andy Bashir's podcast, you guys, and I'm actually going to be broadcasting that live for all of you. So that's going to be here on TikTok. That's going to be on YouTube. If you don't know who Andy Bashir is the Democratic governor of Kentucky with a 65% approval rating in a very red state. So we're going to be having a conversation with him. That's going to be a lot of fun. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Parker, I actually really appreciate you for being here because here and around like
Parker, actually really appreciate you for being here because here and around like.
That's weird. Because here in around like 6 minutes, I'm gonna go quickly use the restroom. Maybe put like a dress shirt on, and you can stay on the live debate. I just want to let you guys know. So that'll be fun. I don't know, man. I don't know what the vibe of the podcast is gonna be. Obviously, he's gonna be kind of controlling it. I have no clue what I'm walking into here. No clue why he really wants me on either. I didn't get any briefing whatsoever. I just got, Dean, do you want to join this podcast at Andy Bashir at this time? And I said yes. So I don't know what I'm walking into. If I get the opportunity, I'm actually gonna try to apply a little bit of pressure. I want to start doing that to a lot of
Martin,
people.
watch
on the
this.
left.
You're about to get grilled by Andy Bashir. That's what to happen.
Yeah.
You have no clue what you're about to go into. He's about to like have this whole setup of like everything that you've done wrong in your career, and he's about to go through it all. He's like, "Why did you cry for Charlie Kirk, Dean?"
He's gonna pull it. He's gonna pull it. Dean, why? Why did you dox an innocent father, Dean?
Yeah, I wouldn't even have cried for Charlie Kirk, bro. Why did you do
Why
that?
do you lie about the anxiety pen? What the
Why
hell?
do you lie about the anxiety pen? Kev, I cried because actually the guy right below you, Parker, he was less than 30 feet away when it happened. I was the first person he called. I got an on the ground view of exactly what it looked like that day with all these students running away, ambulances and police swarming the scene. Everybody thinking there was going to be a part of a mass shooting, all while I'm on live. And then I saw the video of his aorta getting ripped right the fuck open. Scared it could happen to me. Not to mention that regardless of the fact that I didn't like Charlie, and still yet the difference between you and me, considering the fact that you probably did, is that somebody I've met, interacted with in real life. That's something that not a lot of people on the internet can understand, because that's a level of nuance that I think extends beyond the internet, is that when you've personally engaged with somebody in real life, regardless if you like them or not, you see their fucking aorta get ripped open, it's repulsive, dude. Like, oh my God. You know, like, I understand to you and to like everybody else in here, he was a dude on your phone. All right? Listen, I fucking despise Charlie Kirk just as much as the next guy, but he wasn't just a dude on the phone for me. So knowing my best friend was there, and about a billion other factors, so scared and terrible, man. But go ahead.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, a tear was brought to my eye, but I'll never do that on camera, though, man.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm Bill.
Wait, so then why do you support Trump?
Why do I support Trump? Because
Yes.
I couldn't imagine Kamala Harris being president.
Kamala Harris. Okay, but wait, I'm sorry. So why do you say that about Charlie, but then you're totally okay with supporting Trump?
What do you mean? I was sad about Charlie's unaliving.
Oh, you said you were sad. You just said that you wouldn't.
I wouldn't cry on camera about it, you know?
Dude, because you didn't.
Especially if that's
Bro,
Hey,
I was
dude,
live. Listen, I was
Kev.
live when this happened. That was like an uncontrollable
No,
response.
man, like, but dude.
Kev, let me give you the rundown of events from my perspective.
All right. Let's move on from that. All right, I'm not
No,
gonna.
I just want you to
bash
understand this
you
for a
for
second.
crying.
Listen,
about
listen.
that, but you know,
literally, it happens. I'm running away like every other student, scared that maybe there's going to be a shooter somewhere else in the parking lot that could be going after me, that might do that after that happened. I don't know that it's an assassination attempt yet. I think it's possibly
you were there, right?
Yes, 30 to 40 feet away. The first person I call is first two people I call is my mom and my girlfriend. Both of them don't answer because they're busy. The first person who answers me is Dean, and he's hearing me like freaking out about the event, scared that there's possibly a shooter around, and I'm asking him what's going on because he has an ability to see the information outside of that. And that's like literally when he was on live, or I'm pretty sure like just starting live or something. So that's like the prior to all of this in the first place. So like people try to act like, oh, I wouldn't have shed a tear. Well, okay, like if you had a friend there, that one of your best friends, and they called the first time, and then you were also scared that this could happen to you as well, and you have to talk about your family members about how this could be a risk for you to be in on a daily basis. Wouldn't that be something that could invoke an emotional response in any typical person?
Sure. I just think as a man, you shouldn't do that on camera, man.
And that is exactly why
there we go.
74% of suicides are done by men. Because men are told by other men, by the way, not by women, by other men, to bottle up their emotions, to stuff them down deep inside, and dealing with it like a man just means not dealing with it at all, which then leads to more erratic emotional behaviors, spiking our violent crime rate to 92%, and spiking our self-unaliving rate to 74% of all self-unalivings.
And you think it's because like men can't express their emotions? And you think men should be able to cry more on camera?
I think men can express their emotions. I just don't think many men do express their emotions in a mature manner, because men like you tell them not to.
Okay. Do you think maybe that so here's my perception of it, all right? So women will tell you that it's okay to be
I'm actually
soft in a
Parker. I'm
woman.
actually
It's
gonna pass
okay
this
to
off
be
to
a
you.
soft.
I gotta go start getting ready for
Gotcha.
Andy Bashir. So
Cool,
I'll be
Andy.
right back, everyone.
Keep saying what you're saying, man.
All right. So what pretty much what I'm saying is women lie. Like they say, oh, you need to express your emotions and all of this stuff. But when you cry like that, if a woman sees you cry, especially on camera and in the world view, like we saw Dean doing, she's gonna lose attraction for you.
Okay, so why are there a bunch of women still
Yeah,
attracted
buddy.
So then why are there a bunch of women still attracted to Dean?
Well, because he's famous.
Okay, so even if he does cry in that circumstance, people aren't going to lose attraction for him because he's famous. So apparently now you're saying it's
Well, okay,
justified
so
for
here's
Dean
the
to cry.
thing.
Wait, so now you
See,
just said it was justified for Dean to cry because he's famous and can get away with it.
all right, so hold on, Parker. You think it's okay to cry in front of women?
Absolutely.
You cry in front of your girlfriend?
Absolutely. If
You
there's
do?
a circumstance that will cause me to feel that way, I do not feel shame in crying in front of my girlfriend. And I also don't feel like my girlfriend's gonna leave me or not feel attracted to me because I
You don't
literally
think she would
cry.
lose a? You don't think
Nope.
there's like? You don't think she
Not-
would lose a certain level of
Not
respect
at all.
for you? Because
I am
she will.
Not
Because
even
she
a
will.
concern. Never even thought about that one before.
I don't even
until
know
you
her,
just
but
brought
I
it
know
up.
that Parker. I know that she will lose some respect for you.
Nope.
If you cried in
Hasn't
front of your
happened.
woman, she's
Hasn't
gonna
happened.
lose a lot of respect.
Are
for
you in a relationship right now?
Yes, I am. My girl's right next to me.
Okay, so you're saying that you are scared to cry in front of your girlfriend because you feel like she won't find you
I'm not
attractive
scared
anymore?
to cry in front of my girlfriend. I'm just not doing that.
Wait, no,
That's a
I'm
sign of
talking like,
weakness.
if you cry in front of your girlfriend,
That's
do you
a
feel like-
sign of weakness,
Answer the
bro.
question. If you cry in front of your girlfriend, do you think that she's gonna like leave you or feel like you're not attractive anymore?
Honestly, yeah. If I cry in front of her, then that's me showing a sign of weakness,
Okay,
man.
ask her
Do
right
you
now.
think these women want
Ask her.
any
Wait, can
perception
I
of
ask her the
weakness?
question? Can you have
She's
her go to the
sleep.
microwave? Can I ask her the
She's
question?
sleep. I'll try to. She's sleep. Hey.
Okay. Well, no, don't wake her up. Don't wake her up, please. Don't do that. Okay, so
No, yeah, she's sleep.
yeah,
But,
the point that I'm
nah.
making though is that again, in
If I was
terms of
crying, she'd bust out laughing. But go ahead. Sorry.
okay, the point that I'm making is that if you feel scared about that, that's something that you need to like, and this is not supposed to be in a negative context. That's something you should talk to a professional about because that's an insecurity that you have about your relationship that likely
therapy.
will not actually happen.
Therapy.
Yeah,
Listen,
genuinely.
listen. I'm not scared to cry in front of her. Actually,
That's what it
like,
sounds like.
if I were to lose a loved one right now, I probably would cry in front of her.
Okay, so then
I'm not scared to cry in front of her, but what I'm saying is it's not okay. It's not okay for men to cry in front of their women.
Wait, you just said
Okay.
it was okay.
No, I didn't.
You just said that you would do it in that circumstance, like if a loved one died.
Yeah, and I did I say it was okay?
So you don't think it's okay, but you would do it. So this is what I mean. You are
Did I
scared.
say it was okay?
You're scared of crying if a loved one dies in front of your girlfriend. That's something that you need to deconstruct as a man because that is not something imposed probably by your girlfriend. That's something imposed by how you are socialized as a society that we as men can't express our emotions in these types of ways.
Well,
right?
hey,
That's-
bro.
that's something that
Here's
you
the
need to
thing. Here's the
deconstruct.
thing. Here's the thing. You're misunderstanding, Parker. It's not about what I think, bro. It's about what women think subconsciously. Okay.
Nope.
So
The only person you
look,
care
if you
about is
cry
your
in front of a
significant other
woman, if
in this
you cry
context.
if you cry in front of a woman, she is gonna lose a massive amount of respect for you, bro. Whether
No,
you
she
like it or
won't.
not, whether
mom
I
is-
say it
my
or
mom,
not,
my
bro,
girlfriend-
she
This
is going
conversation's
to
gonna
lose
have to
a
end in
lot
like the
of
next
respect
never
for
lost
30
you,
to
brother.
respect
60
for me.
seconds, by the way.
Wait,
Okay,
listen.
and she's probably gonna cheat
Wait,
on you.
Kev. Listen, none of the women in my life have ever lost respect for me because I have cried.
Yeah, because you're rich.
Guys, this conversation
What?
has to end.
When-
Sorry, this conversation has to end. I have to go on Andy Bashir.
Okay, well, you can come on to mine, Kev, and we can finish this. I'll be live right now. Good luck, man.
Appreciate you.
All right.
You have a good rest of your day. Appreciate you so much for joining.
All right, have a good day, Dean.
Fuck off, Kev. All right, guys. I am joining Andy Bashir's podcast. If you don't know who Andy Bashir is the Democratic governor of Kentucky. Kentucky being an historically red state that has voted for Trump in the last 3 elections. And that's crazy. What's even crazier is that his approval rating extends across party lines and is 65% amongst his constituent base. So Andy Bashir is an example of a Democrat that has been able to really reach over and get Republicans to agree to the cause and hop on board with his governance, with his leadership. So we're going to be joining this pod literally right now in the next 30 seconds. I don't know what to expect. I'm not going to lie. I don't know what to expect, so let's just see together. Allow permission. All right, we are joining right now, guys. Perfect. Join studio. All right, we're in the queue. We should be accepted any moment. I think that these are pre-recorded for Mr. Bashir, and that you'll only see it live on here. The host should accept at any moment. You go, girl. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what is to be discussed. I guess we'll see together. I'm going to try to like center myself a little bit more in the middle on my camera. Look a little bit more professional this way. And we should be good to go any moment. Any moment will be accepted. I wish there was a way to like mute my mic. Because I want to continue. Hello. Oh, I'm having an issue here. I can't hear. How about that? Oh, I'm still having an issue. Hi, Andy. I don't know if you could hear me. If you can hear me, I'm doing my very best to figure this out. I had my tech checked before I joined and should be all good to go. But I can't hear a thing right now. There's no reason why that shouldn't work. There's no reason at all. Oh no, this is so bad. Still can't hear a thing. Oh goodness. Can I get a thumbs up if this is live? Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay, all right. I have no clue why this isn't working. What I'm going to try to do here is just leave and rejoin, and I apologize for the delay because I know that you got to get a guest at 15 after the top of the hour. I'll be right back. Okay, so he's just pre-recording it. This is a mess. I know. I just left. I'm going to rejoin now. I see everybody over on TikTok spam and remove the text. I'll do that. I just need to first get this loaded up. I'll just kind of do that as a second thought once we're in, because this is the top priority right now. Okay. Dean Withers. Test audio. There's no reason why this shouldn't work. Join studio. All right. We're going to try again. Second time's a charm. Second time is a charm, and it is not working. You know what? My audio is set up right. I still can't hear you. Can you have somebody on your end just quickly check to make sure that your audio is being piped into Riverside? They're saying it is. Oh no. Yeah, I have it on the right speaker. I mean, that's my audio. There's a chat feature, by the way. It might be the only way I could talk to you guys. I just muted the mic on Riverside. We're trying to put this together right now, everyone. Oh no, guys, this is so sad. I don't know if I'm, because I can't hear you guys, I don't know if I'm interrupting anybody that's speaking on y'all's end. Yeah, I could see the chat. Hey, Andy, it's a pleasure to meet you. I just saw the chat. But it might worth be checking to see if if whenever I talk on my end, I get this little bar at the bottom of the Riverside that says it could hear my audio. Are you getting that same bar? We're seeing levels on our end? Okay, perfect. Oh no, you guys. Yeah, everybody, I just put myself on mute again on the Riverside. We should be all good to go. For everyone saying disconnect from TikTok, no, you don't need to do that. Like, for instance, look at this. I'll play audio right now for you guys. Yeah, everybody, I just put myself on mute again. See, like, I could even play my own audio just through the stream. Oh, okay. All right, everyone, just oh, sorry. Oh, it's, I don't know if he's, I still can't hear. Let's see. Wish that there was a way to do an audio test. Someone give me a call. Is that to me, Andy? Perfect. Yeah. Here, I'll just call you off of my phone. I'm kind of alone in my studio right now. Here we go. Good idea. 502-794.
Hi, if you record your name.
All right. Yeah. So, anyways, okay. So yeah, it's showing levels on my end. My audio is connected to my mix amp, and then that should just be getting sent out to the mix amp. I'm so sorry that this is showing issues. I've
You're all good. You're all good.
never quite had this
We
issue
are
before.
seeing- It's okay. It's all good. We're good here. We're seeing levels in iron from our mics. So I'm just wondering if like and
Check 1, 2. That's all coming through. Do you want to mute me and unmute me on this?
yeah, I can mute you real quick. Try now.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. No.
It's shown as muted on Riverside for Andy.
Yeah, no, we can if we can also try Zoom if this isn't working.
Would
that be better for you?
Yeah, Zoom will work. Zoom will work. I'm so sorry. I don't quite know what's going on with Riverside. Zoom will absolutely work.
You tell them we'll make Michael Ben wait.
You hear that?
I didn't quite hear it.
He said we'll make Michael Bennett wait. You're good.
I'm so sorry. Please do give Bennett my apologies. I was supposed to connect with him too. But all right, sounds good. If do you want me to share with you like an email to send that Zoom link over to?
Yeah. If you wanna share an email.
All right, you guys. So here's the next step. We're trying to figure out the technical difficulties that we're experiencing by going over to Zoom. So we're going to be doing that right now. I know that I unplugged my mic there at multiple points. That was purposeful. I did that intentionally. Sorry, you guys. But we are going on Zoom now. He's saying that he's going to make Michael Bennett wait. That's a Colorado senator. Whoopsie daisies. And by the way, for everybody that's asking for context, we're getting ready to have a conversation with Andy Beshear, the Democratic governor of Kentucky. And I'm the problem, apparently, because I am getting my audios in a mess, unfortunately. All right, one moment. Oh my goodness. What a bad introduction. Wait, someone in the chat said Jill's governor? Is Jill from Kentucky? If so, that's funny. Here, one more anxiety pin rip until we hop on. Gotta stay professional. All right, we're gonna go ahead and try to do this again on Zoom. Zoom should work. Zoom's never given me a problem. There we go. Focusrite audio, OBS, join. Test speaker mic. Microphone seems to work. There's a test on the speaker. We're good. Perfect.
All
Hello.
right.
There
hear me?
it goes. Yes, now I can hear you.
Outstanding.
I that's a little bit of an unfortunate first impression on my end, and for that I apologize. But it's a pleasure to meet you.
You as well, and grateful you're willing to do this.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on, man.
So we're getting set on our end. I read your intro bio earlier, so we wouldn't have to take up your time. And so when we're ready, I'll look at this camera and say, welcome to the podcast, and we'll start off.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah, and it's your senator there from Colorado that's on next, but he's running late, so there's no issue at all.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, awesome. So are you talking to people specifically in Colorado? Is that what's going on today, or did that just happen to line up?
So we'll run you this Thursday. It comes out Thursday morning.
Oh, cool.
And then we'll have Bennett and Weiser. So we're doing our second season's called Prime for 2026.
Yeah.
And we're trying to have a place people can go to see 3 or 4 primary candidates when there are 3 or 4. So we've done Georgia, we've done Maine, a number of the other big ones out there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
All right. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Good. Dean, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to meet you, man, and I'm happy to be here.
Really grateful you're taking the time. So I grew up in a family where if you weren't a Democrat, you weren't in the will. But your upbringing, I know, is a little different. Tell our listeners about your journey to where you are right now.
Sure. So I think first and foremost, where I grew up is probably relevant to this conversation, which would be on the western slope of Colorado. And I'm sure that there's many people who are tuning in right now who don't know much about the western slope of Colorado because there isn't much to know about it. But simultaneously, for those that do, you know that it's a very red conservative area with towns like Grand Junction, where I'm from, are cities like Pueblos to Montrose. It's a very red area. And well, because of that, I grew up with a very red family. Both mom and the dad from childbirth until now have voted for Trump, stayed Republican. So, of course, in turn, because of those social pressures and biases, I myself considered myself to be a Trump supporter for a lot of my youth. But that quickly changed on January 6th, which is a whole different story. But long story short, grew up in a very Republican family. So it sounds like we kind of had opposite upbringings.
So you are one of the most followed progressive content creators. What was it that grabbed you that said, I want to do this? I want to explain my views to people?
Yeah, well, the first thing that really grabbed me into explaining my views to others and having discourse, because that's what I'm all about, is really just talking to people who disagree with me and I disagree with them in an attempt to change their mind, or more thematically, just inspire people to critically think, was my declaration of a major in philosophy for the 2 years of college that I did up in Boulder. Going into that philosophy major, it really taught me a lot about how I could better think and structure my beliefs a little bit more objectively, with a massive consideration towards fact, reason, and logic. And I would apply what I'd learned in class just on online debates and subjects that I felt very adamant about, like abortion, for instance. And it was just kind of this gradual process from having these conversations in front of a crowd of maybe 10, 20 to 40 people to now having them in front of a crowd and at sometimes of 30,000. And it's been so fulfilling for me, because I feel like it's finally given me this ability to maybe share what I've learned, or even learn more from having these conversations. And what I hear back from a lot of the viewers of, you've been able to change my mind, you've been able to change my family members' minds, really keeps me going, because what it shows me is material change in the world around me, driven by what we talk about every day on live.
So you've said that you would still do what you're doing even if you won the lottery.
Yes,
that's pretty impressive. You wouldn't be on an island, or buying an island. You'd still be doing this. What's your hope? Let's say 5 years from now, about what your work will have meant.
Well, what will it have meant? I don't know what it will look like 5 years from now. And the reason why I'm being honest and telling you that is because if you ask me what my work will have looked like or meant 2 years in the future, 2 years ago, I wouldn't be able to tell you that I'm at where I'm at today. Now, I would assume it would probably mean something similar, just on a little bit of a wider scale, if that makes any sense. Reaching more people, having new conversations about whatever's going on 5 years in the future, or who knows, maybe I'll, step into government. I don't know. And I kind of like to keep those doors open, because at the end of the day, I'm kind of dead set on doing whatever I believe would be in the best interests of this country, insofar as changing minds and getting people on board with what should be common sense. And that's just so important right now, when we have such a large and strong pressure downstream from DC, in my opinion, of trying to convince people of lies, of things that are not commonsensical at all. And it is just completely dependent on the world that we'll live in 5 years, and what my reach at the point will be, which I don't know what that will look like.
So you communicate with folks all over the country every day. You've got your thumb on the pulse of what's going on in different groups of Americans. What do you think are the most pressing issues and challenges on people's minds right now?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think the most pressing issue on the average American's mind is affordability. And it has been for a long time. And I think that this is a crisis that has only been exacerbated by the Trump administration promising us a golden era where everyone's happy and everyone's loaded with money. But now we're seeing a year and a couple months into his term, gas costs more than it did when Biden walked out, and the growth rate in real median wages has slowed. So, I mean, I think that affordability really matters to me, to the average American, to everyone. And that's not an issue that we've seen properly addressed by the GOP, of course, but I mean, you'll hear me say that all day. But, also by many voices on the left, really not honing in on focusing on the real issues that impact the average everyday American, like the housing market, like groceries, like paying their bills. And I'm really hoping that coming into the midterms, we'll see a lot more candidates really railing in on that, now that we've seen that to be a proven recipe for success with people like Zohran Mamdani in New York City.
Yeah, I think that's so important. When I think about the challenges to this country that we're facing, division is certainly one. But that belief by so many Americans that the American dream is slipping away, that
Yeah.
you can work hard, play by the rules, and still not get ahead. And I think sometimes when we use the term affordability, we sound a little political sciencey, as opposed to what is that next bill that I just can't pay. What do you hear, especially from younger voters and younger Americans? Is it, I'll never be able to afford that home that I grew up in? That I'll never get ahead the way that I saw my parents get ahead? What is it that you hear the most?
Well, what I hear most from younger Americans definitely has to do with affordability, of course. Starting life as, a new adult in a world that just seems so unattainable in so many ways. So 110% affordability. But if we're narrowing the scope here to younger Americans, for the most part, I feel like I read a sense of disillusionment in the system altogether from younger Americans, from being a whole lot younger in high school and being, forced to stay at home and not really understanding the nuance of a global pandemic and what that means for their neighbor and how it's actually maybe a good thing for us to do these lockdowns because they'll save lives, to then growing up a little bit and now watching the federal government refuse to release these files about all these really bad rapists that were harming children and then defending it in front of Congress or lying about it to our faces. It's that sense of disillusionment that it's us versus them and that they're not very honest with us, especially with a growing sense of resentment towards maybe some more of the long-term cemented allyships like we would have with the state of Israel and younger Americans. Like I saw this crazy statistic the other day that 70% of Democrats under the age of 50 don't support Israel, 50% of Republicans under the age of 50 don't support Israel, and how that kind of plays into this more bipartisan issue that, well, maybe there's actors on both sides of the aisles that aren't acting in the best interests of any American. And I feel like those have been the things that have been on the minds of younger Americans. And that is exactly, in my mind, what has made people, as I already mentioned, like Zohran Mamdani be so successful, because it's more so that honest approach of, hey, I'm going to help you pay your bills. Okay, I'm going to focus on you. I'm going to focus on the betterment of all of you, not just some of you. And we're going to focus on the real issues, like what can we do to lower your taxes and make the top 1% pay their fair share? What can we do to lower your rent and make these billionaire, trillionaire companies and rich landowners and property owners only charge fair rates or make them pay their own fair share too, and so on and so forth. And that's kind of where I'd say, once again, the mind of the younger Americans are at, is just feeling the sense of disillusionment in the system because of how much maybe they feel as if it has failed them in one way or another.
Yeah, I think that was the approach for Abigail Spanberger and Mikey Sherrill too, who ended up with margins of victory last November that were much larger than going into it any of us thought were possible. So if you were advising somebody who's going to be on the ballot in 2026, we've got so many House candidates. It looks like Democrats are going to be able to make a run at the Senate, which should have been structurally impossible but for where the country is. We've got 36 governor's races across the country, something that I'm pretty vested in as head of the Democratic Governors Association. What would your advice be to those candidates?
Well, that advice would be to look at what has worked. There's a reason why, every American was talking about Mamdani. There's a reason why, we now know Abigail Spanberger's name. There's a reason why the Democrats won the mayoral race in Miami for the first time in 30 years. And that reason is because there's now an environment where the vast majority of Americans hate our president. The vast majority of Americans think our Republican-led Congress is failing us. So now they have this opportunity to run against that tyranny. Now they have an opportunity to run against what we don't like and to really take advantage of that opportunity and seize that while also running on what the Americans do want. I think that we need to be putting more of a pressure against the top 1%, against the ruling elite. We need to be putting a pressure on Congress to follow the law abide by the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and that's what the people want. It's just be a progressive a populist. In my mind, that's what has been working. I think it'll work more because that's what the people want. So in short, my advice would be is please run on what the people want, run on what the people care about, and look at this disillusionment that is being experienced by so many younger Americans and treat it seriously. Don't treat it as an obstacle that you somehow have to rhetoric your way out of or ignore in interviews, and address it head on.
We've had a number of focus groups. We've had high school students, college students, young professionals, and a lot of what we ask is, how do you get your news? How do you connect with either candidates or the news that's out there? And what we hear from so many of them is through you, but also through YouTube and TikTok as that first thing that gets them interested, and then they do a deeper dive for more. Tell us you are a master at this, how you go about trying to pique that interest so that you can get these folks, not just young voters, all voters, to learn a little bit more about the issues that we're facing.
Sure. When I report the news, my main objective is for the way in which I report it to be at a level that could be understood by somebody who is completely apolitical without a background insofar as knowing with the events that have unfolded in the last year, 5 years, 10 years, while still being able to communicate all of the substance of the headline. And what I mean by that is I feel like even myself, when I was younger, 16, 17, and not too politically involved, would be looking at headlines or looking at independent journalists and trying to keep up with what they were trying to tell me. But I just couldn't really follow, if that makes sense, because let's just assume that maybe independent journalists were reporting on Donald Trump pulling us outside of the JCPOA under his first administration, the denuclearization agreement that we had with Iran. And the independent journalists or the CNNs of the world would say, Trump pulled us outside of the JCPOA, alarm bells are ringing, end of story. But what the hell is it, the JCPOA? I don't know what that is, right? So when I approach breaking the news to my audience, I always make sure to use words that are understood by the average American. I purport concepts in which could be grasped without that background knowledge on the subject matter. And if there's something that has to be discussed that would require background knowledge, I also make sure to then share that background knowledge. So that's the way I break the news. If that's the question that you're asking. And I think that the world would benefit if a lot more people did that, because we like to assume in our own political echo chambers on the internet here that everyone's political, but that's further from the truth. No, not everyone is political.
Especially on cable news, they assume that you've been watching cable news all day long, that you can respond to a story that they put out an hour or two ago when most of us are going to work and not seeing that or going to class. What was the video that you did maybe that caught fire where you said, I think I can do this full time?
I think that had to have been my sit down on Jubilee for a 1v20 debate a while ago. I think at this point, coming up on 2 years this September, where I sat down, I debated 20 Trump supporters at once. And then Jubilee turned around, posted that on their YouTube channel, and people really seemed to like it.
So when you're in that debate, a battle of ideas, and it helps when you have facts on your side, how is it that you both try to argue your point, but also not disrespect that other person with a different viewpoint all at the same time?
Yeah. Well, the thing is sometimes I do find myself disrespecting the other person. And many times I do end up regretting that, because some of the best conversations that I'll have on my platform are when we can freely discuss the substance of the claims being made. And inevitably, people will always be more open to change rather than not when they don't feel like they're being personally attacked. And I guess what I would say here is I just really try to focus on what they're saying, and I try to focus on why it's wrong. And if those are my two goals of what are they saying, and if it's wrong, why it's wrong, I don't find myself kind of entertaining those personal attacks as much. But I think it's, important for me to be honest here. That's not what you'll see every single time you watch one of my debates. And maybe that's something I could work on.
You got pretty emotional after the Charlie Kirk assassination. I was somebody that you had debated. I lost one of my closest friends in a mass shooting. It's traumatic. Tell me, as you look back now, what are your thoughts and feelings on it? I know we all desperately want a world without political violence.
Yeah, I was actually just talking about this on my stream right before I joined in, so that's a good question. So I would say that my thoughts and feelings on it have changed quite a bit the more time has passed. So first and foremost, I don't regret or pull back on crying on live, which is what I did that sparked a lot of controversy. And this is exactly what I was talking about before I joined this conversation. And that was because, well, my best friend was there. He was 20 feet away. It was the first person he called. He was running away, screaming, thinking it was a mass shooting. Regardless of my thoughts on Charlie Kirk, I think he was a bad person with bad beliefs. He was still a person that I personally interacted with. So it was a little bit jarring watching a video of his jugular getting split open, or even how that maybe induced a sense of fear on my behalf of saying, now can I go outside? Which I didn't. For the next 3 weeks after that happened, stayed inside, got cameras, put them outside on my door because I thought maybe I'm next. And that was a very jarring and, honestly, just troubling series of events with all that information. But a year and a half later, and no, it's not even a year and a half later. What am I saying? I'm sorry. A little bit later, down the road, I would say maybe what has changed are my thoughts on the role that Charlie Kirk played for the right, what he would be saying today about what is going on today, and maybe what is the appropriate response from the left to somebody like Charlie Kirk getting taken out. I think that it is important to condemn all political violence. I don't think that he deserved to die. And I don't retract any of my statements about that either that I said when he was shot. But simultaneously, I think that a lot of people on the left are really feeling disillusioned because when that happened, people were getting fired from their jobs for saying they didn't care. And then less than a couple months later, our President Trump turned around and called for the execution of 7 Democrats in Congress. Then everyone celebrated. And I think it's important for us to acknowledge here that if we want to condemn political violence, and we have to do so in a bipartisan nature, and we can't have a president turning around and calling for the execution of some Democrats.
I've made the exact same point. The idea that Trump will only condemn violence when it's against someone that looks like him, prays like him, if he prays, votes like him. And the scene that still hits me as a person of faith who believes in that golden rule is Erica Kirk comes out and says something that's almost straight out of the Bible, right? That she forgives her enemies. And then Donald Trump walks out right afterwards and says, not me, I hate him.
Yeah.
I mean, basically a president of the United States saying to a large crowd of people that he believes in the exact opposite of that golden rule. I think that showed that he is not willing to condemn political violence and in fact has called for it on multiple occasions.
I couldn't agree with you more. Spot on.
What do you think is the next big issue that's going to grab the American people? I think we're certainly seeing some concerns over AI, especially in different communities. What else are you hearing?
About the next big issue. Oh man, with Steve Bannon's flood the zone technique that we've seen, since the beginning of Trump's first presidency, I'd argue that we never really know what the next big issue will be. And that's something that's been really hard for me to come to terms with. 1 week it's war in Iran.
Right.
Next week it's the Epstein files. And the week before that, like I said, it's him calling for the execution of Democrats or, maybe defending the murder of Alex Preddy. We don't know what the big issue is. There's always a big issue. One week it's one thing, the next week it's something else. Now, if you're more so asking, what are the big issues that will be impacting the average American compared to the big issues that Donald Trump wants to impact the average American, like you said, I would assume that AI is on the rise. That's going to become something we have to legislate on. I think that we really need to address the lawlessness that we've seen from federal agencies such as DHS and ICE. I think that we need to hold the liars and the corrupt politicians and the Trump administration and the DOJ accountable for breaking the law and refusing to release the Epstein files. So I hope the next big issue is midterms comes and goes, Democrats win, and then Democrats turn around and hold a bunch of people in the GOP and the Trump administration accountable. And that's what everyone is talking about for 6 months. That's the next big issue that I like.
So I've been critical of my own party in the response to the flood the zone. It's clear that they throw out 10 shiny balls every single day. And the question is, are we the cat that runs after all of them? Or do we stay focused on affordability, on the things that matter to the American people? I've been a big believer that discipline and focus is how we win, not just in the midterms, but hopefully how we stay together as a party and keep winning, not just in 26, but hopefully in 28.
Yeah, I agree. It will never be a bad thing for a politician to stay focused on helping the average American through affordability, through other means. I like that. That's what our politicians should be focused on. But I do also think simultaneously that the Trump administration purports such a unique threat to the social, moral, and legal fabric of this great nation that it is simultaneously very important for us to also focus on amending the wrongs, of holding the ill-willed accountable, and firing those in which we can that are culpable for these wrongdoings, for the long-term preservation of our social, moral, and legal fabric of our great nation. And I think if we could find a way to do those things all at the same time, where we want to help the average American focus on accountability, address the issues that matter the most, while simultaneously also wanting to hold the bad actors in our government accountable, which would include maybe sometimes chasing the shiny balls that flood the zone, that would be the best approach for the people and for the nation.
Give us your predictions on the midterms.
Well, I mean, my predictions are very limited. I'm not too much of a predictive man, if that makes any sense. But I would argue that we've seen a trend in the special elections held so far since Trump's victory. Democrat seems like, I was seeing a new video nearly every day for a while about, oh my goodness, a Democrat won this a deeply red district seat that has been held by Republicans for the last 40 years in Georgia, Tennessee, Florida. I mean, I think it was like 2 days ago that a Democrat won a race for, what was it? A mayoral race in some place in Florida, and won by one vote, and that position hadn't been held by a Democrat in 30 years. So because of, what we've seen in these special elections, I think we'll see that in the midterms too. You said it yourself, when we first started a conversation, that somehow the Senate is in play for Democrats, which is just an impossibility, it seems like, but it is. So I think that we're going to see a blue wave, sea to shining, sea coast to coast. And I think it's going to be a day of celebration, and then the day in which follows will hopefully be a day of accountability, and which has been long deserved for many members of the Trump administration.
So some of our listeners may not know what it's like to be a content creator. When you start your day, on average, I mean, you post across multiple platforms, different content. How much of your day is sitting there cranking it out?
Oh man, it varies. Some days it's 4 hours, other days it's 12. It definitely varies. I'd argue on average around 6.5 hours of work every day, 7 days a week. But then when you have super big things happen, then I might be working from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. A good example of that would be the day that Alex Preddy was killed by an ICE agent. From the moment I woke up at 9 a.m. until the moment I went to bed at 11:30 or 12, I was recording videos, performing, like analyzing the footage to dispute the narrative purported by the Trump administration going live. And, that's how it is sometimes. But, I love to do it because I want to ensure that there's good information out there accessible to the average American to maybe refute some of the BS, for lack of a better term, we're hearing from some of the loudest people in the country.
One of the reasons we started the podcast was the impact on mental health that the news is having right now. But you can't take a break, especially when the news is that hard hitting. So what do you do for your own mental health to make sure that you're still good and able to continue to educate a lot of our folks out there?
Great question. Great question. One that I spent a long time trying to answer. Sunlight and working out. Those are my two things. As long as I'm working out at least 5 days a week in the gym and get at least an hour or two of sunlight a day, I'm good.
Well, that's a lot healthier than some other people's choices. What do you like to do when you're not creating content? What do you do to get away from it?
Oh, a lot of music. I play piano, play guitar. I spend a lot of my time composing my own pieces on piano. We're working on some jazz improv, and hanging out with my girlfriend, and other times watching TV. So those are my quote unquote escapes.
Wait, I want to break some news here. Is Dean Withers in a band?
I have been at points in the past. I formed a band for when I was in college for 2 years before I dropped out. I say band very loosely. Because, we never did on-stage performances or anything. But I had a group of buddies, and we'd play music very frequently, and it was so much fun.
If you could take a week off, and I know you probably can't, what would you do?
Oh, man, taking a week off. I love the beach. I really love the beach. I might spend it at the beach somewhere. Or I might rent an RV and just take it on a road trip. That sounds really fun, to go see Yosemite, go see the redwood forests in California. Maybe take it down to the south. One of those two options. That's what I'd be looking for.
Yeah, people ask me, how do you communicate so well with Republican voters? And I say, well, first, they're my neighbor. And so I just treat them like a person. But second, I vacation in the panhandle of Florida. So you have to be able to. What we like to ask people what their secret superpower is. What is something that you're really good at that no one knows?
Ooh, something I'm really good at that no one knows. Yeah, that's a great question.
I'll tell you, Amy Klobuchar apparently doesn't need much sleep. That would be a productive one. My wife, Brittany, can pack a suitcase like no one I've ever met. You could be at the beach and want a parka, and it is somehow in the suitcase. Cindy Munson, who's running for governor of Oklahoma, makes the best guacamole out of anybody she's met.
Sure. You know what? I'm really good at roller skating.
That is an excellent one. Like roller blading?
Oh, yeah, roller blading. When I was younger, I was doing statewide, nationwide competitions on the blades.
Oh, wow. See, back in my day, it was Champs Roller Dome. It's a little different. It was just whether you could limbo on roller skates. What do you want people to know about you and to take away? If you could write what you want your reputation to be, what would it be?
Inspiring people to critically think. That's what it's all about. I think that so many things are so important to so many Americans, like entertainment, football, and TV. But one thing that's not too important to many Americans is critically thinking. And if critically thinking could be more important to more people, we might just be able to save this country now and forever.
Let's close out with, you see and have a lot of people on. You see a lot of people who serve. You see a lot of candidates. What is it about one of any of those that actually gets you excited, that inspires you?
Oh, I gotta say, I've mentioned his name 4 or 5 times in the interview so far, so clearly he's somebody that inspires me. Seeing young people so involved, so sharp, so on it, and pushing for the right things, like people like Zohran Mamdani in New York City, that really inspires me, because that shows me, truly shows me, just how capable so many young people can be. And it pushes me to push myself to do a little bit more tomorrow than I did the day before.
Well, we are grateful that you would take a little bit of time for this podcast. There was a strong recommendation that we had to have you on by Lila Bashir, my daughter, who has taught us Gen Z lingo on this podcast before. So I've gotten to personally see how you reach out, how you educate, how you create that critical thinking. We're really grateful for the job that you do, and thanks for being on.
Well, I appreciate you for having me on, and thank you for your kind words, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Great. Feel good about it?
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Really good. I see why your approval rating is 65% in a red state. You made me feel pretty dang comfortable.
Well, that's it. What you were talking about on how you talk to people. I've got a thing I always say: talk like a normal human being, and you can interact with everyone.
Recording stopped.
Yeah, you did. I didn't. I'm gonna be honest, Andy. I didn't feel like I was talking to a politician.
Good.
So you're killing it.
I was a human being before all this. I just try to get back to that every now and then.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I wish you the best of luck with Bennett, and have a great rest of your day.
Great. We will we'll send you the whole thing. I know you recorded too. Anything you could do to push it out, be real helpful for us. We have a decent audience on SiriusXM, especially.
Yeah.
And then comparatively, we are teeny tiny on YouTube, but we're growing.
Cool. Well, yeah, I'll do what I can.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Have a good one. All right, folks. Let me go ahead and reopen the YouTube and TikTok real quick. What did you guys think of that? Wow. That was I don't think I've really talked to many politicians like him before. That was weird, dude. I'm a little disillusioned. Whenever you talk to a politician, you could tell you're talking to a politician. That just kind of felt like I was talking to a human. Like that was interesting. What I said there at the end, I see why he has that high approval rating. I meant it. It just talks like a human. Now, I'm not familiar with his with his politics. I wish I would have familiarized myself a little bit more at the beginning. I'll have to look into his politics. I'll have to look into like what he actually advocates for policy-wise and where he stands, because I wonder, what is he looking at and the next presidential. That's the reason why I know his name, is because it was being tossed around quite a bit for the Oval. Anyways, thank you so much for the $5 over on Super Chat, Narcissa, who says, "This is so fake. You have no idea how stupid the interview sounds. This is horrible." Damn, bro, what the hell is your problem? Feel free to explain it. Feel free to explain your position. Someone else in the chat says, normally politicians are asked questions, but he was asking you stuff. Much better approach for a politician. Yeah, I wish that I was able to ask him a couple questions. Anyways, how did I do? I think, I don't know. I think I was kind of blundering there at the beginning, talking a little bit too much, not making much sense. But I think I kind of locked in at the end. I think in order for me to like really lock in an interview, I got to be a little nervous, if that makes any sense. Like, me being nervous helps me fucking lock in. And I wasn't too nervous talking to him. You did pretty good? Cool. I feel like I came back in the end. I want to hear back from this Narcissa person who said, this is so fake. This is terrible. I want to hear back from them. I need to hear the explanation for the VO. I need to hear the justification right now. Let's see here. We got a couple people to thank here. You guys have been very, very kind. Bridget, thank you for the $20 over on Super Chat, who says, you did a great job. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much, Bridget. That is very kind. Ben with the $5. Yeah, it's smart, Ben. Thank you. Addison, thank you for the 5, who says, Andy is great. He's my governor and his political views are just like yours. He's a great candidate. Awesome, man. I love that. Joseph, thank you for the $20, who says, awesome job, Dean. You killed it. We need more people like both of you. Well, thank you so much, Joseph. Yeah, I really liked his approach. I really liked his approach. Haley, thank you for the $15, who says, as somebody from Kentucky, I'm so proud of Andy Bashir. So wild to hear him on your live. What an awesome day. I know, that is really awesome. And then Damaris, thank you for the $10. Mary, thank you so much for the $20. I really appreciate you. And it looks like we're all caught up. One thing that I will say here. Oh, it just escaped my mind. Oh, it came back. Was he was asking me about like having conversations without getting disrespectful. And I didn't want to straight up lie. So I was a little honest with him there. Maybe I could have been a little bit more honest, right? Because, you'll hear me on my live say that maybe sometimes some views deserve to get disrespected. But I didn't want to throw that one in there because I feel like his audience, right, if they heard that one, they would have like jumped back and hissed and screamed at the laptop or the iPad. So I don't know. I need to find like a good way to say that to the mainstream audience. Treat them, give them the same energy they give me. Maybe that, but even that's not fully there because it's not even just about giving them the same energy that they give me. It's about me giving them the same energy they give others. So I need to find a way to find a good way to communicate that sentiment. Serena, thank you so much for the $15 over on PayPal. He says the interview was wonderful. You did amazing. I'm proud of it. It was great being able to hear it live. You did really great. Thank you so much, Serena. That is very, very kind. Cami, thank you for the $20. He says you did very well. Proud out to you. Thank you so much for the love, Cami. And then Rena, thank you so much for the $15 over on PayPal. And then Cindy, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo. This is philosophy professor here. I teach philosophy of race. Where to go? And feminist philosophy. Thank you for promoting critical thought. I'm truly convinced philosophy has failed America. If you ever want to chat philosophy, let me know. I'm sure your professors are beyond proud. Dang, that's awesome, Cindy. Thank you for the good work that you do. I have a lot of respect for philosophy professors. You guys are like usually like the smartest people ever, at least in my experience, and the professors that I've had. Some of the smartest people that I know are certainly philosophy professors. Okay. All right. So, folks, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream for the day. If you're still in the mood for debates, head over to @ParkerGetAJob on TikTok, @ParkerGetAJob on YouTube. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace and love. Good night and goodbye. Oh, that didn't end the stream. That just turned the camera off. Yeah, this is a little awkward. Okay. All right.